Hey guys, this is AJ, your conservative reject. Welcome back. You guys ready for another video? Well, let's get right into it. Tucker is checking out Nancy Pelosi getting pretty much attacked by a mob here, of which is her own constituency, which is pretty freaking funny. And then we'll be looking at Tucker actually interviewing an illegal immigrant. So let's get into it.
Now, this video comes with a trigger warning. In it, you will see a white woman telling a group of people of color to be quiet so she can white-splain to them. Please have any small children cover their ears. In fact, you should probably cover your own, too. Watch this.
For a long time, we've been fighting the fight for the dreamers. My colleagues.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it.
Do you want to hear an answer, or do you just
Oh,
want to
I
shout?
love this so much. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
She's so
Yes, I
frantic.
am. You do not.
Look at her. She doesn't know what to do. She's flustered.
You don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
The revolution always consumes itself. Now, why were those people
Sure
so
does.
mad at Pelosi? Well, they're furious
They
that she's
consumed her,
negotiating
that's for
with
sure.
the president to protect DACA beneficiaries from being deported. Instead, they want a total and immediate amnesty for all 11 million, maybe 15 million, no one really knows, illegal immigrants currently in this country.
Yeah, the number's
Yvonne
unsure.
Seha is an illegal immigrant. He's the founder of Undocumented. He joins
Here
us
we go.
tonight. Yvonne, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Tucker. I am undocumented, a DACA beneficiary, and actually born a crime when I was immigrating here at 9 months old.
Huh. So I guess what I find so striking about that video and about
You have
a
the
lot of other
audacity
things
to come
in the
out as an
past few
illegal
weeks
immigrant?
is the lack of gratitude and the hostility.
That's how far we are in
from
this country.
people who are really getting a pretty good deal from the United
Illegals
States.
come right on
apparently.
national
People who are here
television.
illegally, breaking U.S.
That's
law,
how arrogant they are
benefiting in
now.
a lot of ways from U.S. society.
Shove
which
it
is the
right in
richest
our
the world,
face.
the most orderly, the cleanest, the fairest, and yet seem hostile toward the United States. I never hear a single person say, you know what, thank you. Why not, I wonder?
I believe that undocumented immigrants, DACA recipients, are simply reacting to what's continuing to being done over years, and that is they're talking about us, but they're not talking with us. They are not including us in the conversations, and this is something that's going to be addressed. Both parties will
you're not
be
part
held
of the country.
accountable. People have something to refer to, records, to indicate how promising these agreements can be, and that's voting record. We're going to be holding people on both sides of the party who at some point may have voted against us, and that's all we have. That's the only premise.
Voted against you?
Wait, hold on.
You're not a citizen.
You're issuing a threat, and I want to understand what that threat means. You're saying
Holding
as an
people
illegal,
accountable.
You're not a U.S. citizen.
You don't hold
You're
anybody
saying
accountable.
You and other non-U.S. citizens are going to hold U.S. citizens accountable for not being nice enough to non-U.S. citizens? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
What I'm saying is that these elected officials are there to represent all constituents,
That's what you're saying.
including undocumented immigrants that live in these communities. And although we do not vote them in directly, we do take great part in our community and also ask to be represented. We are paying taxes. We are contributing.
The sympathy
to the community,
card.
and we just ask for
We
representation.
contribute.
No, what you just, and by the way,
We
I've always
support
been
the
very
country.
pro-immigrant and am in some ways still, and pro-immigration actually. You're making me very anti-immigration by what you're saying right now, because of its
Seriously.
tone, but also because of the threat you
turns
just
people away
issued
from
to people
immigrants.
who don't see it your way. You're not a U.S. citizen. The U.S. government exists to serve the needs and protect the needs of U.S. citizens. It does not exist to protect the needs of non-U.S. citizens. Do you see the distinction? I think all countries are that way. All of them.
All sovereign nations, yes.
I also understand. Do you understand, taxation without representation, something that this country was founded on? I believe we are paying taxes.
What?
I believe we deserve to be represented. I'm not issuing any threat other
You don't
than
pay taxes.
we are
You're
gonna
not
go
a
ahead and
citizen.
No longer allow people to make agreements that jeopardize our community behind our back. We want to be protected. We want to have relief that includes our parents, our brothers, our uncles.
You
who
want
don't
relief?
fit the typical
You don't
dreamer
get
narrative,
it.
per se.
You're not a
Why
citizen.
do you have a right to demand anything? I mean, if I and by the way, let me just
You
be
don't
really
have a
clear.
demand.
For the fifth time, I'm sympathetic to a lot of the DACA people because they didn't choose to come here illegally. But I'm more sympathetic to American citizens because I am one, and I have something in common with them because they're Americans too. And so I don't understand on what grounds you make these demands. If I show up in someone else's country and say, you know what, I demand to have a voice in the political system here, I demand benefits, I demand respect, they'd say, buzz off, pal, leave. Like, you have no position from which to demand those things. Do you see what I mean?
Buzz off, Ivan.
No, I understand. The context of the video that you were referring to, those are DACA beneficiaries, 800,000, which are now in limbo as a result of the loss of DACA or the threat to it, and there isn't anything happening in the next 6 months. So they are reacting to that. These are people who are very much well involved in our communities. They are teaching our children. They are police officers, firemen, paramedics.
Oh
Even
my
in
gosh.
the recent hurricane hits, they were putting their lives on the line.
Illegal
to save
immigrant
other people.
police
And
officers?
That's just
are you a
nonsense.
citizen?
It's just
Are you
totally
kidding me?
It's just
Resident?
nonsense. It's just nonsense. Okay. Yeah, some of
Illegal
them are great
immigrant
people.
public
some
sector
of them are criminals
workers?
and drug dealers. They're people. Okay. So not all
That's
of them
insane.
are future Medal of Honor recipients.
Ivan,
Let's stop with the propaganda.
you are delusional,
I'm asking
fool.
a much bigger question about what citizenship means and about the rights of people from other countries to demand political influence and money from a country that's not theirs. And I'm just saying it's a kind of a weird posture, an entitled posture for you to take. Like, I demand this. Really? On what grounds? Are you following me?
Again, they're contributing to this country, and they deserve to be
Some are,
represented.
some aren't.
They
Okay,
have
so
been here for years.
No.
They are not new, and that applies to every population.
It doesn't
I know
matter if
plenty
you
of good
contributed
citizens,
or
I know
not.
plenty of bad citizens
You're not
if
a
you wanna go
citizen.
by that
I
narrative.
agree with that.
And no matter
No,
what,
but I agree with
there are
you.
people in everywhere.
But they're citizens and non-citizens. That's the
Yes.
distinction that the left is seeking to erase. We're all the same. And my point is, no, the point of a government is to look out for the citizens. That's why a citizen is different from a non-citizen. You are subject to
Look,
the laws of, but
This guy's
also
just smirking
benefiting
the
from
whole
the
time.
protections of a
He doesn't
government.
get it.
I mean,
He's
I don't
young,
understand.
naive,
Like, everyone in the world who wants to come to
entitled,
the United States can
stupid,
show up,
ignorant.
go on benefits, reap the benefits of our society.
He's got glazed eyes and a little
would we
smirk on
allow
his
that?
face. Nice little suit and tie.
Nobody's actually doing that. Actually, there is no line right now for anyone in this country to get behind. There are forms, etc., applications that people can apply for from their respective countries. What we're talking about is millions of people who are already here. 800,000 DACA beneficiaries who are currently in limbo. These are people who there's no line to get behind. Just to put things in perspective, the immigration system is currently processing applications from 1995, something we have no control
Sorry,
over.
buddy.
Just to show
Sorry.
what's going on.
It's not our fault. It's not our fault. It's your parents'
to
fault.
Like or dislike because you don't have grounds for that. And look, I would,
Yeah, you
I
don't
would
have
concede that
grounds for it.
Some of the DACA kids are a little bit different because they came here as small children, as you did. But for the 11 to 15 million people who snuck in the country and are using forged documents to work, undercutting the wages of American citizens, on what basis do they get to tell me as an American citizen, I want this, I demand that? Like, what? Why would a normal society take that seriously? You have no right to demand anything if you're one of those people. Do you?
Again, I'm one of the main examples of people, millions who have been here for decades. We've been contributing. We've
These
been
are
given
major
No.
distinctions that you're
represented.
ignoring.
Doesn't matter
So
if you
you
contribute
think
or
that all
not.
of your
It's
relatives-
irrelevant. You're not a
It's
U.S.
push and pull
citizen.
factors for this immigration.
Don't you
know, the
get
pull
it?
factors being that
You're
we
not
are
part of the
largest
country.
economy, and we require workers to sustain it. Also, the push factors are that
That's,
the U.S.
you know what, that's just
activity
garbage.
exerts
You learned that
different
in
things on
some
various
school
countries
that some you went to. Actually,
I don't
almost
care
100
what your
million
explanation
American,
is.
American citizens not working right
You're
now.
not a
So,
citizen.
Don't tell me we need more
Let's
labor.
talk about. Let's put it in perspective. There are 11 million undocumented immigrants. There's 320 million U.S. population. Are you going to tell me that 3.5% of the population are responsible for the problems of the other close to 97%?
Of course, I would never make. You know, that's
What?
just another ludicrous argument. I would never make that claim. I don't think that. I think
What is
Americans
that?
are
That's
mostly
exactly what
responsible.
people like you are
It's a
making.
claim that
I
leftists
don't know who
make.
people like me are. Learn how to follow a rational train of thought. I'm not saying that. I've never said that. I don't think it. I think Americans are responsible for mostly their own problems. But importing millions of low-wage workers every year does not help. Not in this economy. And you know it, but you don't care. Anyway, Yvonne, thank you.
No, I do care. And
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Oh my gosh. This is what we have in this country now. People like Ivan Seha. Or Yvonne. Makes him sound more feminine, right? This guy comes on and has the audacity to come on as an illegal immigrant on live television, exposing himself, but knowing he's got sanctuary. Where is he? Los Angeles, California. Sanctuary State, California. He's protected so he can arrogantly come out on TV and rip Tucker up. These people don't care. They want their entitlements, and they want them for nothing except a vote. So, did you guys see Nancy Pelosi? Wasn't that just absolutely delicious? Oh my gosh. I got such a kick out of that. That was just freaking amazing. You know, what they stand for, those DACA recipients in that protest, you know, I don't agree with anything they're saying, but man, did it feel good to see a liberal Democrat for once get ripped up by their own constituency to such an extent that she got shouted over. She got drowned out by these people, screaming at her for having the audacity to take this away from them as if they are entitled to it. They're not entitled to anything. Are you kidding me? But man, was it satisfying, as you could tell earlier in the video. I love it. I love it so much when this happens. It's like a delicious little victory is burning inside me. And I didn't even do anything. They did all the work for me. The enemy destroying the other enemy. The funny thing, guys, about this is that Nancy Pelosi and their type, what I mean is liberal Democrats, is that the thing is that they manufacture these people. They pump them out of a propaganda factory, and they expect people to just go along with whatever they say like they are infallible demigods. No! They are far from it. And yet these Democrats forget that these people still have something somewhat of a free will, even if it is driven by impulsive emotions, as you could clearly see there, driven by absolute selfishness. These people were brought in when they were, as like Ivan, right? 9 months old, toddlers, and at ages where they couldn't help it. Their parents and their extended family brought them in, regardless of their own decision making. So they had no choice. But that doesn't mean they're entitled to anything. Nancy and Schumer and the ridiculous Al Franken, how the hell he became a Minnesota senator is beyond me. I don't even know what's going on with the people in Minnesota, that a comedian liberal moron like Al Franken could ever even get anywhere near the Senate seat he's in. It's unbelievable that we have people like him as a U.S. senator, not even a House representative, which tends to be the more rowdy of the Congress. The House is more rowdy and seen as less prestigious, so to speak, than the Senate. But he became a senator, Al Franken. You have people like Schumer, whose niece, I think, is Amy Schumer, the horrible comedian, vicious woman. And you have Nancy Pelosi and Feinstein, I can never remember that frickin' last name. These people are unbelievable. And they're such hypocrites. It's great because these people are such miserable monsters. They are absolute advocates of liberalism who are destroying this country, and they don't even realize that the people who now protest against them, such as in this DACA protest, they don't know what's going on. You can see it in her face, in her big bug eyes, as she frantically wiggles around and tries to calm down the crowd with a hand gesture. She even has, as their word, audacity to actually say, "You don't know what you're talking about." I find that hilarious. She actually is trying to resist and even be firm with people she made the way they are. The people like Nancy don't even realize that they manufacture the people who come back and do this to them. It's incredible to me that this flies over their head and they don't even realize it. But man, when it happens, it is delicious. It is so satisfying to watch the liberal revolution, the liberal war machine, as I like to call it, destroy itself whenever it happens. It really doesn't happen that much, but man, when this happens, it is just juicy. It's better than an actual juicy burger. It really is. It's like a burger for the soul, for the spirit, a righteous victory. And I love it. And they scream her out. And they say, no. Essentially, where's our entitlements? You compromised with Trump on DACA. You suspended it for 6 months or maybe more. You are suspending our entitlements, our citizenship. We quote-unquote contributed to this country. You owe us, Nancy, is essentially what they're saying. The liberal anger and hatred that is naturally found in liberalism has come back to bite Nancy right back in her old flabby butt. And I revel in it. These people, if liberals don't realize that they are self-destructive, they are liars to themselves. And it's only until their own so-called constituencies, these illegal immigrants, the people they cater to, which aren't actually legally constituents anyway, that the people they say they support are the people that scream them out and rail against them for any act of even the slightest bit of compromise, say with Trump, for the suspension of DACA. And it's unbelievable to me that these people forget, these liberal Democrats forget that these people still have a mind of their own left enough to come back and get them if they compromise at all. So the monsters develop greater monsters than themselves. Liberalism is a process of devolution. The people who follow and outlive the people before them are always worse off. It always gets worse. Evil people who brainwash the youth that outlive them, their so-called mentors, will always be worse. A process of devolution that will continue on and on until you get the bottom of the barrel, most wicked, destructive people you could ever meet, while probably still maintaining some caricature of a nice person on the outside, with a facade. Because that's what liberalism does, right? You ever notice that everything they believe in is horrible, it's evil, it's wicked, it's destructive, and it simply doesn't work. Morally, spiritually, economically, financially, governmentally, structurally of every kind, scientifically. By the way, the one they worship, science, a lot of liberals are atheists. A lot of atheists are liberals. Macroevolution is essentially one of their gods. It's their cult. They've made it so they could reject the one true God, the creator who made them, designed them at the very beginning. But, it's so archaic to believe in such a thing. But they'll believe in a godless God, such as macroevolution, science, where they can pretend like they're logical, so they can say there is no God to account to, so they can live out all of their materialistic pleasures without having to be held to account. That's why they do it. At least subliminally is why they do it. But Nancy and all the rest of them will destroy themselves inevitably. But on to this guy, on to this illegal immigrant, undocumented worker, Ivan Seha. So this guy has the audacity, again, the word of this video, audacity, as per the DACA recipients, it's probably the biggest word they know. And I frankly don't even know if they know what they're protesting, except for the fact they get free handouts, free stuff, if they vote for a Democrat. But when they see a Democrat fall out of line, they jump all over him like velociraptors and rip him apart. And Nancy can't do a frickin' thing about it. They destroy themselves. But Ivan Seha, this illegal immigrant who actually had the arrogance and the bravado, delusional bravado, to come on and be interviewed by Tucker. It's amazing. Ivan came on. Such arrogance in the illegal immigrant community now that they feel so entitled and emboldened by Democrats that they actually come out of the dark. They scurry from the dark, and now they stride around with their heads held high, right in our face, and say, yeah, I'm illegal, so what of it? I'm here to take your stuff, you owe me it, and shut up and just give it to me. That is their attitude. He wears a little business suit, he makes himself all prettied up, gets his hair slicked back, has that smirk the whole freaking video, lives in, just by his disposition alone, I could tell, he lives in a relaxed mindset. Nothing really phases him except when his handouts will be taken away. And he knows he'll get his handouts way more if he gets citizenship. And they know this because Democrats have shoved it down their throats for years, for decades. Democrats are their so-called best friends. Not because Democrats are their best friends, because they're going to use them as a voter base, a permanent, sleazy, slithery voter base, completely based upon a reciprocation method. So, just like what Democrats do with everyone else, they give people handouts, and the people give them their vote in return. That is the Democratic Party, and that is liberalism in a nutshell. They give you free stuff, and they make you believe you're entitled to the free stuff just by saying you deserve it, or you've been a victim of some manufactured crime from their little fantasy land. And then you do deserve it. You're entitled to it. So if you want to get your entitlement, Democrats say, just put a little check mark, a little X in the box next to my ID in parentheses by my name. And you will forever, indefinitely get this handout form of a pension. Because that's essentially what handouts are. EBT, WIC, SNAP, all of them. Whatever perks are handouts by federal, state, or local governments. You know ultimately what they are. It's like a pension. A permanent, never-ending pension that lasts longer than Social Security. It's a pension you can get as early as 17, 18 years old when you're a legal adult. Prove that you don't make a big income, you vote for the Democrat, and you know you're going to get a handout for the rest of your life. And this is absolutely unsustainable. But these DACA recipients, like Ivan Seha, the man has the audacity and the arrogance to come on Tucker and demand that everyone be held accountable for suspending DACA. Ivan, you're not a citizen. You're not a citizen of this country, and you never were. Taxation without representation. You're not even supposed to be paying taxes. You're not a citizen, which is actually something you should be happy about. If you were paid under the table, which is the only way illegal immigrants would be able to be paid, you don't have to pay taxes. I would think that'd be a plus for you, buddy, that you could work under the table and not pay taxes to the country. You shouldn't even be paying taxes. You are not a citizen, Ivan Seha. And the United States of America, the people of this country, regardless of how you were brought in, whether free will was involved or not on your part, but for the sins of your parents and your extended family and other various affiliates of your family, brought you in against your will, completely oblivious at your young age, especially at 9 months. It is, regardless of that, not the moral obligation of the American people. It is not the requirement of the American people. and it is not some act of charity of the American people to bring you in. Don't get me wrong, the United States of America is the most freaking giving, charitable nation on earth because of its Christianity, and overall a Christian nation. Hell, even secularists and atheists who give, it's because they subliminally contain the remnants of what was once a Christian culture, living with churches on every corner in almost every city in America for the most part. Though people may not be Christians in this country, they get the vibe, the overall atmosphere of Christianity in the country. That is inevitable. You cannot dismiss that. We're the most charitable nation on earth, but we are not a charity work. We are not required to give charity. We give it of our own free will and volition. That is the big difference. Charity doesn't mean a damn thing if it is forced. Democrats force charity. Christians don't. Conservatives and Christians give out of their heart. Corporations give out of a moral obligation and a good advertising selling point. Bill Gates gives to charity because of his guilt for making billions. Christians who are poor and make $20,000 less or a year, yet still give 10% of what they do to their church or to other people in their own respective right, give more than the billionaire Bill Gates has ever given. He gives $1 billion to a multiple plethora of charities. But the Christian who gives but $1 and makes far less than Bill Gates, they sacrifice 10% of their tiny income every year, gives more to Bill Gates than he does in 20 years. It's all relative to the heart and the character of the person. And so, regarding illegal immigration and DACA recipients, we are the most giving nation in the world. But when people take advantage of us, we are to take action and we are to stand our ground and say, no, you don't have a right to our country. You don't have a right to our resources and our money, regardless if you came here of non-free will. Your parents are the ones at fault. Though you people are not considerably at fault, the actual DACA recipients, the kids, you don't have a right to jump on the bandwagon. Now that you are of age and you understand what's going on to some extent, you need to understand something, Ivan Seha and all the rest of you. You do not get to come into this country and dictate your demands. Regardless of what you've contributed, whether it's been a lot or very little. I don't care if you've had a job here for 20 years. I don't care how much you've contributed to charity. I don't care how much you paid in the taxes in this country. And if you could actually prove that we have illegal immigrant police officers, firefighters, teachers, I'd like to see you prove that, because if that's true, that's freaking disturbing. But let me tell you, that's most likely not true. And if it is true, that needs to be rectified immediately. That is unacceptable. But that's also very disturbing that illegal immigrants get into such positions of power and influence over the people of our country, especially our youth, that they just sort of slip in. They integrate into society, yet they never become citizens. So they are not governmentally and law-abiding wise accountable for their actions, as are the rest of U.S. citizens. And that is unacceptable for law and order. We can't have that in this country. Law and order, following law and order, is what truly brings peace and prosperity and true peaceful coexistence with all kinds of people from all ethnic backgrounds and all different kinds of countries and cultures. law and order must be followed. It is absolutely necessary. It is imperative people follow the law, and so that order may be maintained. And when order and law are maintained, peace is maintained. And when peace is maintained, everyone lives in a certain amount of decent harmony with one another. And then therefore there is a certain extent of prosperity. And then there is a certain extent of happiness. Maybe even joy, opportunities, freedoms. People work together better when the tensions, the anger, the rage, the things that divide us are dismissed or diluted to such an extent that it may be negligible to the argument, that we may live together in peace. But we can't do that when things like law itself, basic law, is compromised, and the laws of a sovereign nation defending its borders cannot be compromised. We can't have any old person coming in and saying they want to be part of the country but just illegally slip in. You can't do that. That's irresponsible. They come in and they siphon off our system, and all the people who work hard give them stuff while they give nothing in return. But even if they did contribute, they are not citizens. You must be legal. You must have papers. You've got to be part of the country officially so that law and order may be maintained. You cannot stay off the books and get some little loophole that gets you to be outside of a law-abiding arena. You don't get to have that way. So when Ivan Ceja comes on this whole interview eventually just saying, you owe me something because I gave something to the country, he's completely out of his right mind. He doesn't understand. He's still young, which means he's, to an extent, what I call the stupidity of the youth. They're naive, they're ignorant, but it's beyond just stupidity in terms of having naivete or ignorance. It's the people who brainwashed them into thinking they were entitled to it, aka those people we call liberals, Democrats. They brainwashed him. Ivan Ceja has been spoon-fed all his life in this country by Democrats that he deserves this country, though he's never been officially part of it. It is not our fault that we will not give him citizenship. It is not our fault. It's not Trump's, it's not anyone's. It's his parents. It's his parents' fault and his extended family, whoever was involved in this, who put him into this in the first place. Humans having to live through the sins of their ancestors is brutal. Having to fight through those sins that still leave a scar on their lives is not to be put upon other innocent, law-abiding U.S. citizens. Don't you dare have the audacity to come into our country and demand of us things that we don't deserve to give you. We don't deserve to give you anything. You don't deserve anything. You've never been part of the country. I don't care how much you've contributed. That is irrelevant. I don't care what you've paid in taxes. You're not supposed to be paying taxes. You're not supposed to have a driver's license. And overall, you're not supposed to be in this country. But you have your little sanctuary in that sanctuary state in California, but especially a sanctuary city like LA. Of course, you're going to be defended. They're going to protect you. Even if you were a violent criminal, they'd protect you. They just wouldn't say a lot about it. Because the only people Democrats can get are non-citizens, criminals, felons, dumb people, and dead people. It's pretty much most of the people that Democrats can only ever get votes from left. Because everyone knows the Democratic Party is an enslavement party. It's an entitlement party. They are a sham. They're a scheme all wrapped up in one party. no matter all the differing kinds of people out there with their different personalities, their character, whomever they are. The Democratic Party as a whole, whether you're one of the major figureheads or you're just one of the people kind of live your life but then you vote Democrat at election time, whether for your senator or House representative or for the president, you still have your hand in it. You've still made things happen in and of your own simple vote. DACA recipients don't deserve to be in this country. They don't deserve to receive anything. We have to maintain law and order in this country in order for peace and prosperity to be here. And so that actual immigrants coming in legally can be processed and be brought into the country. People who actually want to be here. Illegals who come in unannounced and secretly, how do we know how to vet them? We don't know if they're violent. The fact that they came in illegally means they are, at the very least, sneaky people. And we don't want sneaky slinkers sneaking and slinking around our country like a burglar in the night. Because that's what it's like. An illegal immigrant coming into our country. And when they come in illegally, it's like a thug slipping into your house very quietly, easily, very steadily, opening your front door that was left unlocked. And then they slip in and they close it very, very quietly. Just a little clunk clunk. And then they go and they skulk around and they look into your drawers and they see your jewelry and then they see your safe and they quietly open it up while you're sound asleep. Maybe they take a shower, maybe they recline on your couch a bit, and then they come out your door. Except, in this case, this analogy, they stick around your house. You wake up the next day, you get up, you go downstairs, you eat your breakfast, you go about your day around your house. On the weekend maybe. And they just go into hiding. They go into the basement and they hide in the corner until you go back to sleep again. That's the analogy of what illegal immigration is like in this country. Illegal immigrants have broken into our house, the house that is the United States of America, just as a violent criminal or a thug or a breaking and entering burglar or a sneaker breaks into your house where you want to defend your family, defend your stuff because you earned it. You're just protecting yourself, your family, and your stuff. Just as you want to protect your private property, your house, your dominion. So the citizens of America overall want to protect the house, the household of the United States of America overall from potential burglars and criminals who might break and enter through the front door or the back doors of our nation, crossing the border and into our house, into our living rooms, into our bedrooms of the nation overall. And that's what it's like, exactly. That's what they're doing to us. If they want to come in this country, if they love this country so much, what they would do is they would go through, though it may be a painstaking process, and maybe even a bit expensive, it is damn well worth going through to get into this country. This country is so worth getting into, and if you were so committed and you cared about this country and getting into it for the betterment of yourself and your family, for a better life with better opportunities and freedoms and civil rights, the greatest in the world, in fact, then you would go through the legal process. If you come in illegally, it speaks as to your character that you have to resort to sneaking in and hiding amongst the masses in this country and siphoning off the entitlement system, secretly jumping onto it alongside poor citizens who are taking entitlements and handouts. You're not entitled to handouts generated by taxpayers for taxpayer-funded purposes to non-taxpaying, non-citizen individuals. Illegal immigrants don't even logically or officially or lawfully deserve handouts. It's actually impossible lawfully to give them handouts, because taxpayer money is what funds handouts. But taxpayer money goes to taxpayer-funded projects and programs in the governments. Illegal immigrants, you don't give taxpayer money to people who are non-taxpayers, who are not even part of the country. Tax-paying dollars only go to projects that stay within the country for the benefit of taxpayers. Non-taxpayer, non-citizens, it is impossible. It should be an impossibility, logically, to even get handouts. That being said, DACA recipients, you must understand this. You don't have a right to be in this country, because you're not part of it, because you're not a citizen. This is base, primal, primitive logic I'm using here. It's not rocket science. You are not a citizen, and therefore you do not get to indulge in the privileges and the amenities and the opportunities and freedoms of a citizen. So when you demand representation, Ivan, you never had it in the first place. You do understand that, don't you? Are you so arrogant? Are you so loopy-headed? Have Democrats so brainwashed you to think that you deserve things regardless of the argument against you? Against reality? Ivan Ceja, Senor Ceja, you don't deserve anything in this country. You're not entitled to it. And you will not get it. Okay? You want to be in this country? Go through the legal process. I'm sorry you had to come in as a 9-month-old baby. I'm sorry that it had to be that way. Is it my fault? No. Is it Trump's fault? No. Is it every conservative and Christian's fault? No. Is it any U.S. citizen's fault in this country? No. The fault lies with your parents and any family or friends or relatives who helped get you into this country. Blame them. I know they're your loved ones, and it's hard to blame loved ones. It's easy to blame strangers like me or anyone else, or Tucker. Because that's what Democrats do. They accuse, especially when their entitlements are being threatened. They accuse, they call people racist or sexist or homophobes or xenophobes or XYZ, everything under the sun they can manufacture and think of. When you threaten people's handouts, they go AWOL. They go insane. And they lash out to the point that they lose all logic, all reason, as if they ever had it in the first place. Ivan Ceja, all you DACA recipients, none of this is the fault of the U.S. citizenry. It is the fault of the people who brought you in. And it is now also your fault, now that you are adults and contain responsibility for yourselves. You are able to comprehend in your minds the ability to be responsible, the capability of taking responsibility for your actions, personal accountability. So now, if you carry on the sins of your parents for bringing you in, what do? If you continue what they brought you in for, you are continuing their sins. You are actually now making it your fault. It is their fault, but you are continuing the bad things they've done for bringing you in. They should have never came in illegally. Ivan, if you want citizenship, you need to come back in the legal way, the right way. That's how you do it. All you DACA recipients, you will not receive citizenship unless you go through the legal process. You do not deserve handouts because you've never been part of the country in the first place. That is an inevitable, hardcore, cold fact. It ain't cold for me, but it is cold for you. Because you don't want to hear that, and I know you don't want to hear that. But that's the reality. Ivan Seha and all the rest of you, you have to do it the right way. Or don't do it at all. Because if this is your arrogant, brash attitude, like you're entitled to it, you're willing to come out of the shadows and shove it in our face, you don't deserve to be in this country. Because we now know what your character is like. If this is how much of a douchebag you are before you're a citizen, do you think we want you to be a citizen after you become one? And then you're permanently part of this country? That we want you to be a leech? Parasitically feeding off the American people for the rest of your life? Life's not about being a parasite. It's about self-pride and taking care of yourself. You find your own opportunities. You build your own character. You don't take from others. You don't do that. That's a macro-evolutionary, brutal, evil, survival of the fittest mentality. You don't take from others who've earned it, and you take it for yourselves as a means of survival. You find a way to survive on your own. You find a trade or a job you love and you're good at, and you do that. But before any of that, process yourself legally into this country if you want to stay in it. Otherwise, you got to get the hell out. I'm sorry, but you got to. Law and order must be maintained for peace and prosperity to be maintained. And any logical, sane, good, decent, moral, law-abiding person of any country who wants to live a decent, happy, fulfilling life with self-pride and integrity and honor and character wants a country where law and order is maintained, which means peace and prosperity is maintained. And then everyone has a good life. Everyone has a decent life in peaceful coexistence with each other. Not the stupid coexistence things I see on the back of people's cars. I can't stand that. I can't stand that. Real coexistence. I always find that hilarious. There is coexistence in this country, but they think there isn't. It's a liberal thing. We already have major peaceful coexistence in this country, yet leftist-minded people with coexistence bumper stickers slap it on their cars as if there was some major warlike strife in this country. It's just amazing. Like, there was a battle, skirmishes raging on in this country where people were trying to destroy one another. It's not to any extent that these people think. So I say, no. We need to maintain order, maintain immigration law. DACA recipients, you will not receive DACA. Come in legally. And we will be more than happy to let you in, knowing you've taken the time and the integrity and the character building to know that you are worth having in this country. Not some sleazy scumbag who wants to suck off the tits of the government. Because no one wants that. We already have enough of our own sucking off the government. We don't need additional people coming in who have horrible characters, willing to destroy other people's lives for their own self-gain, simply because they think they're entitled to it. They deserve it out of a delusional sense that contributions magically make them citizens. No, it doesn't work that way. Well, I love you guys. That's this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. man, it's a good argument, but it's going to be waged on for a long time. And I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. And if you want to support me, if you want, I'm just glad to have you guys here. I'm glad that you're even watching it. If there was one of you, or no one at all, actually, well, I want more than one person watching besides me, but I'm so glad to have you guys here, and I hope you enjoyed it. Love you guys, even if you hate my guts or love me. And if you want to support me, go to PayPal or Plum Fund, give whatever you want, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Bye, guys.
For the dreamers. My
Fight for all 11 million? Who are the 4 they're fighting?